enough here. Okay. I think we're on, right? Can everybody hear me? All right, all right, all right. Welcome to this workshop, everybody. Thank you all for being here. And I'm so sorry there are not enough chairs here, but we'll make it fun, okay? Are you with me? All right. So, welcome to this workshop on how to build an AI app with a pre-trained AI, okay? Who's excited to be here? Even though you had to wait. But we're here now. That's what counts. Thank you all for being here and for making time. And so the goal for this workshop is to understand how you can integrate that into your app with a pre-trained AI model. So I think this is safe to say, but how many of you are using AI on a daily basis? Yeah? How many of you use ChatGPT on a daily basis? How many of you prefer Cloud AI? Oh! I think Cloud AI is cool, though. We got to give it some props. So this is an interactive workshop, okay? And I know there are people standing in the back, and that's actually more reason just to come forward, okay, guys? Just to come forward and to meet other people, because that's why you're here at a conference. Am I right? So just shout out, what is AI? Is it scary? Is it evolutionary? What is it? Sir?
It's scary, definitely.
Definitely scary, he says.
It's scary, like it's out of the proportion.
Yeah, it can be very scary if you don't know what you're doing, right? If you don't know what AI is all about, right? What else? Sir, do you know anything? It's a hype. It's a hype. Yeah, it could be a hype. Yeah, if you're not careful, it could be a hype. We have a mic, by the way. Maybe you could come around. He gave me the mic, but
He's gone.
he's gone. Okay, that's okay. So AI is many things, right? So just so you know, in this app, we won't build a full AI app, but you will leave with the fundamental knowledge on how to build an AI app. Because I'm going to teach you what it takes actually to build with a pre-trained AI. And I'm also going to show you the mistakes I made. So how many of you learn more when you make mistakes? Yes, that's right. Because even when things go right, how many of you are coding the whole day and suddenly everything works and you had no bugs? Wait, what happened? Like, this can't be true. How many of you had that feeling sometimes? This can't be true. It's too good to be true, yeah? That's right. So, you won't build an AI app in this workshop, but you can check out my AI apps on GitHub, and of course, everything is public. Okay, so you can sneak peek and do whatever I did, and comment as well, because I will also learn only from that as well. So this is my profile. Okay, it's Jessy. And very short, my name is Jessy, but it's just a nickname that I have. Okay, foundational knowledge. Obviously, we have to go through a few milestones here, right? How many of you are developers here, by the way? Ooh, I got my favorite crowd in the house. Shh. So what is AI? How does AI work? What AI models, tools, and APIs are there? Where does AI fit inside an app? And of course, the ins and outs of AI development, AKA all my fuck-ups, mistakes, and learnings that I had building AI apps, okay? So by the end of this workshop, you'll have a clear understanding of how AI works and how it's different from traditional apps, where it fits in, and actually how it changes app design. And you're also going to be familiar with some AI tools and models and APIs available right now, and also what it takes to design a functional app. And moreover, what I want you to walk away with is that the questions that you have about AI and building that into your app what are the things that you have to think about? How many of you would agree that development is actually just a way of thinking? How many of you would actually agree it's a way of life, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So, but the goal of this workshop is to have fun, okay? Because when you have fun, you get to learn more and you remember more, okay? So when I say something, just go all out, okay? Nothing's too crazy here. Oh, but wait, let me introduce myself before we go further. My name is Jessy. In Dutch, we say Jessy, Jessy. I'm a technical content creator. I'm also a front-end developer. And I also build AI apps. I have a platform called the Developer Business School. And I am interested and focused on building apps that make impact and money. Okay, I believe those things can go together. Are you guys ready? Hey, let's go. So what is AI? In a nutshell, okay? Artificial intelligence, the ability of machines to learn, reason, make decisions without being explicitly told what to do, right? AI agents. How many of you have heard now of AI agents? Yeah. How many of you are building one now? Cool, cool. All right, so, of course, AI versus classical programming. You know, when you have, like, for example, when we look at logic execution, predictability, adaptability, and error handling, you know, very fixed, like classical programming, you could think of the static chatbot. You know, very predictable, must be manually updated, takes a lot of work, and it's very coded explicitly. AI comes into the game, and now suddenly it learns, it evolves, okay? It improves over time. But error handling, it can still make mistakes. So what types of AI models are out there? Rule-based AI, which is a bit of a mix and a hybrid. Machine learning improves with more data. The bigger data set gets, it learns more, it gets better. Deep learning, whereby the AI thinks like a human being because of the neural network behind it that looks like a human brain. And of course, there's generative AI. How many of you use Midjourney? Oh, not that many people. Wait, how many of front-end developers are here in the room? Oh, okay. So, I just wanted to know, because I really love generative AI for AI art and stuff, but maybe that's just me. Anyways, what kind of AIs are there? Well, you got the chatbots, the virtual assistants, AI-powered search, Google, of course, vision AI, face recognition, recognizing from an image how to, you know, your handwriting and how can that be turned into a font, which I maybe will tell later about and all the fuckers I made with that app, for those of you who are interested. Speech AI, of course. I don't know, anyone knows the app Speechify? You can put it on a book, and then it's very useful for people that are dyslexic because they can just hear what's in the book. And predictive AI, you know, Netflix, right? When it says, when you just only watch one Korean movie and suddenly your whole feed is full with Korean shows, right? Any one of you experience that as well? Oh, come on, don't lie, hands in the air. Okay. All right. Trading bots, okay? So a few takeaways when it comes to AI. It doesn't follow strict rules, okay? It learns patterns with more data that you have. And that said, it depends on your data, how good your AI is, and how you train it. Bad input, bad output, right? AI isn't perfect. It makes predictions, but those are not absolute decisions. And it improves with data, but we have to be careful how to design that data as well. How many of you have ever built an AI app? Okay, cool. So how does AI work? Well, there are many AIs, obviously, but the most common one, ChatGPT, which you guys just told me, many of you use that here on a daily basis, right? So what is ChatGPT? A chatbot that is a generative, pre-trained transformer, hence the Optimus Prime, right? So he answers your questions that are based on written prompts. Now, it's founded by OpenAI, as you know, and OpenAI says our mission is to ensure that AI benefits all of humanity. Was released in November 22, had 1 million users in only 5 days. And I believe AI has been here already for a very long time, but when ChatGPT came up, it suddenly became more known to the public. How many of you would agree? And how many of you are sometimes a little bit, astonished by the speed and growth that AI is taking over? Now, yeah, right. So how does ChatGPT work in a nutshell, okay? So for example, you say, give me a recipe for shrimp tacos, and it gives you this recipe. And it knows exactly how to write the recipe for how many people and what the grams, the ounces, etc. So this AI has so-called advanced language models. And ChatGPT has GPT-3, now 4, actually, and Codex. So what is a language model? Well, it's just a model that understands human language and generates code. But Codex is really more specific on code, understanding code as well, and generating that. How many of you are using GitHub Copilot? Yeah, okay. So how does it work under the hood? Well, obviously, a lot of pattern recognition and learning, and it generates responses. How does it do that? Well, the user input that comes in, which are sentences, it tokenizes that. So it cuts the sentences into pieces, and then for each word, like for example, cat in a tree, it will look for a cat, it will look what the tree does, and maybe a solution how to get your cat out of the tree, right? Because it looks through the data through that. Why ChatGPT makes mistake? Well, because sometimes it doesn't have the context of things. How many of you sometimes ask ChatGPT something and you're like, that's not right, right? So how ChatGPT gets better over time? Well, there's something called fine-tuning, where it's actually more data is given, collected by ChatGPT, and reinforcement learning. So that means, hey, do you like my response? How many of you have seen sometimes response 1 and response 2 lately, and then they ask for the versions, right? That's how it reinforces the learning on how he does things. Human feedback loops, and of course, also memory and context windows. Now, I want you to look at your neighbor, and this guy's over. Look at your neighbor, say hi, smile a little bit, don't be creepy, okay? Say hi, and discuss together for a few minutes. If you had to build an AI app today, what would be the name, what would be the problem that you would solve, and what kind of AI model would you use? Okay, and go. You don't hear my music? No. It's okay. The mic.
Yes. Or simple.
No. You click it? All right, start rounding up. Okay. All right, start rounding up. Who has a great idea? Sir. Unfortunately, there's no mic, so I have to come to you. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's a workshop, it's okay. We're all friends here, right?
We said that we should do like an app that you can put the ingredients that you have at home and it gives you recipes.
I love that. So he says this app, this AI app, will know what you have left over in your fridge, and then will come up with something tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best cook, right? Food from scraps. Okay, so that's actually a really good. What problem is it solving?
I am not a creative cooker, so it can help me.
So good food, no waste, sustainability, all of that, and maybe having great meals at home. So, agree. Awesome. What's your name?
David.
David. Give it up for David, everybody. Woo! All right, all right, all right. So that's definitely a thing, So many people say, I want to build an AI app. Okay, what problem are you solving? Yeah, it does this. So we're going to talk about that in a moment, okay? But I love this problem that you're solving, David. So, because the question is actually, when you build an AI app, is should you have AI? Is David actually able to build this app also without AI, or is actually AI a little bit smarter? Maybe saying, hey, if you buy that creme fraiche, then you can make 3 more meals out of the ingredients that you have at home. How many of you would agree, right? So, few questions, actually. When should you have it? Well, for example, if it automates a complex task. Also, if it enhances the user experience. How many of you sometimes talk to the chatbot of an airline and you get like, so annoyed, right? But what if it was an AI or pretended at least a person, and it would be way nicer. It would understand why you're frustrated. It would, know how much delay you have had up until the time or who you had to talk to, right? If the app relies on pattern recognition, if it learns, it has to learn to know somebody better. If it's an AI coach that teaches people that have depression or something, right? So if it adds personalization and adaptability. But very often, you don't need AI. And maybe that's a bit weird from somebody that gives a workshop about AI to say, nah, brah, you don't need AI. What's that? But that's exactly why invest time in building something that maybe you could have built simpler. I mean, that's our job as a developer to think about that, right? So even though I'm totally pro AI, I will always ask the question, but do you really need it, right? Should you have AI? Well, if it's a simple rule-based system, maybe not. If it doesn't improve the experience, or if it makes the app more expensive without a clear benefit, or if the uncertainty of how AI will react actually creates more problems than, making the impact it should be making. So, to AI or not to AI? How many of you think those were legitimate questions, or does anybody have another thing that should be added to this list? No? The first question you always want to ask, and I asked David this as well, does AI solve a real problem? And would AI perform the task better than just simple code? And does AI make the user's experience smoother or smarter? And can the app handle AI's uncertainty and mistakes? Especially if you're talking to somebody that's depressive or something, obviously there needs to be a legal, ethical way of how the AI deals with this person. Now, all of these questions, and probably more, depending on the state, depending on the nature of your app, if most answers to these questions are yes, you should consider putting AI in your app. But if most of the answers to these kind of questions are actually no, then a rule-based approach might be better. So, but you went through all the questions, you discussed with your developer colleagues and all that, and you decide to use AI. Then comes another big question. Which one am I going to use? What am I going to use? Pre-trained versus custom AI. How many of you have ever heard of pre-trained AI? Okay, great. How many of you know any custom AI or want to build one? Ah, maybe somebody says, I want to hear more about it in this workshop, then I know what decision to make. So let's talk about, sorry, I have to laugh because I'm giving away my age, I think, with this, but that's okay. Let's talk about Pikachu. How many of you know Pikachu? Hey. So pretend we're going to label him our pre-trained AI model, okay? And what do we know that Pikachu can do? Okay, I'm not going to do it, but you guys know, right? You guys know, like the electric zapping thing and the, you know, the Pika Pika. This is Pichu, okay? This is the baby version of Pikachu. Maybe not as famous as Pikachu, but, you know, he's here. And he is our custom AI model from the start. When you ask yourself, should I use pre-trained or should I use custom AI? Well, so let's say you want to use Pikachu. What are the pros and cons, actually? Well, Pikachu already knows how to fight, right? So it already knows electric zapping. So if we give it so it's very fast to implement. We already know it works, and it's very cost effective. It doesn't take us so long to train him into becoming a good fighter, right? So let's say we think, okay, we want you to learn jujutsu. So we're giving him lots of videos about jujutsu from the Olympics and all of that. And this is where Pikachu now knows how to do the electric zapping and jujutsu. Great fighter, right? But without fine-tuning, which is fine-tuning, when we give him the jujutsu data set, we're fine-tuning the core skill of fighting of Pikachu. That's actually, he only knows how to fight. You cannot teach Pikachu how to swim. Okay? For how many of you are now thinking, oh, I get it. I know where this is going. So here he does, you know, the zapping thing. And we're going to give it the data set of Jujutsu, a lot of information about that, so he can also do Jujutsu. But here we have Pichu. And when you have Pichu, the benefits of it is that you can teach Pichu anything. Okay, you can teach it the electric zapping, you can teach it the jujutsu, but guess what? It can also clean your clothes, it can clean the dojo, and it can do your admin. And it can, you know what I mean? So you can teach it anything. So it can be as good as Pikachu at some point, but it can even better, which is Raichu. How many of you have ever seen Raichu? I see so many faces like, huh? Like, guys, I never thought I would explain AI through Pokemon, okay? But here we are. So anyway, the cons when you use a custom AI model, a Pichu, then it's going to cost a lot of time because you need to train it, okay? And that requires, of course, a higher cost. So what's an efficient way? Why would if I pick this dude, I can eventually get here. But what if my AI app actually only needs him? That's where you have to start thinking about. So this is just an overview of both models, AI models. Oh, I went too fast. By the way, guys, I wrote an article about this, and you can upload that later as well if you really want to get into it and read into it. I explained really technical what this is all about. So we already talked about this a little bit, but here, again, you know, do you have a unique data? Do you need full control? Is the time to market important? So when you push it out to the market, is the cost a major factor? And do I need AI to evolve over time? Well, Pikachu or Pichu? Now you know, right? If most answers are yes, then do the pre-trained. And if most answers are, not really, then do custom AI. Okay, here comes a moment again where you look at your neighbor. And I want you to ask, oh, there's also a neighbor. There are many ways, okay? And discuss with your neighbor, what do you think? Now that you know a little bit what AI is and what it's done, and we're going to go deeper into it, okay? We're going to dive technically deep into it. What do you think is the hardest part about building an AI app? Okay, go. Did you find the... Oh. Oh. That's okay. All right, let's round it off. And again, who would like to share what you think is the hardest part about building an AI app? Oh. Well, they're having a really good conversation, probably. What's up, guys? Let's keep it central. So what do you think is the hardest part about building an AI app?
For me, I think prepare for feeding the model.
The data for feeding the model. Excellent. What's your name? Artem. Artem. Give it up for Artem, everybody. That's good. We're going to talk about that. The data that you give the AI, right? Because when you give it bad data, if you tell an AI 2 + 2 is 10, when somebody asks you 2 + 2 is 10 and it gets reinforced, what's the truth at that point, right? So exactly, the data. What else? What else is a hard part about building an AI app? Guys, sir. How unpredictable the LLMs are. So am I training the AI the right way for the right input? And how can I measure that? Yeah. Right? For example, Tony Robbins has an AI coach. So I'm talking to it, but is that really what Tony would say? Shit. How do we know? How do we know, right? So, excellent, guys. Let's talk about AI in code. Because you guys want to know how AI works in an app. Is my mic still on? Yeah. So this is an AI workflow, right? This is what happens under the hood. There's an input. It goes to the AI, and the AI processes it, right? And that could be anything. That could be anything. And so it gives an output back. Now, this could be anything. It could be text, images, voice, or numbers. The input goes here, and the AI, which has already been pre-trained and fine-tuned, will do something with the data. And then it will have an output. which could be a refined text, a refined image, whether that is AI art, or whether that is maybe a summary from your LinkedIn profile, or for your resume, or something. So let's look at a real app, okay? And if you guys are on my GitHub, by the way, you can check it out at repositories. It's here, the UI UX assistant, okay? You can check that out. And if you don't have any access, come to me after the workshop and I'll give you access to it. So let's open this one up. And it's already here. Oh, wait, wrong app. This is not the one. This is the next one I'm going to talk about, okay? All right. So, very simple. Don't look at the front end. I was more busy with the AI and the model. So what does it do? This UI UX assistant can look at an image and can decide whether the contrast is high or low for people that are visually impaired, right? That don't see well. So I gave it a very strict rule, very binary, high or low contrast according to web accessibility standards, by the way. So let's say I go here, go to my desktop, and let's put this one in, mobile 2. And so analyze design. So now it's analyzing in the back end, and it's calculating whether this is high or low contrast. And here, oh, it's low. And I'm going to show you the data set behind it. But what it does, I have data sets of the whole app. I have it of components, because I have to also tell the AI exactly what the relationship is. Like, what the hell are you looking at? I have to teach it, right? So other than that, I can also give it another file. Maybe this one. Oh. And this is a high contrast one. So same thing, okay? Same thing that happens. Now, I also added, very simply, just an API call to ChatGPT, to OpenAI, to give some feedback on, hey, when I have a high contrast, give me tips on how to make the high contrast better. Or when I have a low contrast, give me tips on making the low contrast better. That is just two words, right? But I could make it more specific by giving the RGB of the components and of the mobile app, and give that to ChatGPT, and then he knows what he's looking at and what he can give advice about. But for simplicity's sake, I haven't gone into that. Okay, so let's get back here. Wait, where? Oh, what's this? Let me turn on the presenter mode. Okay. Okay. All right, that was the AI-powered UI UX design assistant. Okay, so the first workflow, what you see on the front end is where the user uploads an image, the AI analyzes the image, and then the AI gives feedback. But guess what? This AI is already pre-trained under the hood. And like this gentleman said, the hardest part about an AI is also what data you're going to give it, right? What data are you going to give it? So once you have pre-trained it, you save it, and that's what you can put into the front end to use. How many of you sometimes use ChatGPT, and then it is able to do this 1, 2, 3, and then 1 week later, it's suddenly able to do 1, 2, 3, 4 until 20, and you're like, what did this guy had for protein shake? You know, like, what happened? Well, that is because they train that under the hood, they save it, they fine-tune it, and then they push it out in one go. That's why there's a big gap between those skills. Okay, so again, what we did actually was the input was the design, it goes through the process, and then it outputs a high or low contrast plus the feedback. Now, I used a pre-trained AI called MobileNet, which is able to analyze images. So it knows what it sees. It can detect the hex colors, dark, light, etc. And it knows what is. So that is Pikachu, and I fine-tuned it actually with the data set of Figma, because it could already analyze images. It could already analyze colors. But I just gave it more app designs to fine-tune it, so it can do also Jiu-Jitsu. Now, when you work, one thing you need to know, I'm going to tell about this later when we have time. When you work with an AI model or with MobileNet, an image, a visual AI, you always have to worry about pre-processing. So what does that mean? That means the AI can only look at an image when an image is delivered in a certain type of way. It is resized, you have to flatten it out, you have to, I'm going to show you the code, okay? I'm going to show you the code. But fine-tuning, that's the hard part, okay? That's the hard part. You have the data set, so Jiu-Jitsu videos, and in this case, it's very binary because we actually wanted the AI to just look at the app design and be like, hey, high contrast, low contrast. So it's very binary, right? But depending on what your AI has to do, you have to decide what the data is. 2 plus 2 is 10. No. Is it Tony or is it too generic? Can anybody say that? Do you guys hear what I'm saying? So here it's very binary, but it's just extra knowledge, okay? It's not an extra skill. This AI cannot go swimming. It can only recognize images and analyze images. So people get that sometimes twisted. Unfortunately, this is not Pikachu, but this should be Pikachu studying and going all over the data. And what it actually does, it looks at the data, and then it learns, and then it takes one data set, and it says, oh, this app design, this component, this image that I have, good or bad? No. Good or bad, looks at the JSON label. Oh, wait, I had it wrong. Oh, wait, I had it right. And it keeps track of that. Okay, when you see the code, I'm going to show you, it will become more clear. But I just wanted to share is that the data set, how you make it, depends on the solution that your AI is giving out, your app is giving out. Let's say I want to have an AI that detects Pikachu, right? First of all, it needs to detect Pikachu in itself, individually. So this is a good Pikachu, standing, crawling, but doesn't look like a nice Pikachu, right? Not how Pikachu wants to look. So this is bad data. But then it knows, like when it sees this, like, no, that's not a Pikachu, right? So it needs to know what Pikachu is individually. Just like my components in the mobile app, it needs to know where's the nav bar, where's the smaller buttons, what the contrast is. Now, here we have Pikachu. So, hey, this is a good groups picture. Here is a good data. But here, he's not here. So now the AI knows, hey, wait a minute, I'm looking for this guy. You know, the yellow squirrel, or whatever he is, you know? So, very simply said, when you think about your AI workflow, input, process, output, what pre-trained AI model are you going to choose? And what is specialized data you can fine-tune that AI with? And what is that data set about? You know, good or bad data, very broad, very Tony Robbins, whatsoever. And when you train it, when you fine-tune it, they call that training. But actually, don't get that twisted, because actually when you're only talking about training, you train Pichu, but you fine-tune Pikachu. How many of you do understand? Yeah, so that's different. And that's because of the iterative nature that we say training, and that's an epoch, okay? So very quick summary what I've done for building this AI assistant before I'm going to drag you into the code, okay? So I collected and cleaned up a data set. I collected a lot of Figma components. And then I pre-processed all of those images. So my data set is clean. And then I loaded the pre-trained AI model, which in this case is MobileNet. And then I fine-tuned MobileNet. I said basically to MobileNet, hey, the contrast, this is the ratio, this is the calculation. Do that with every thing that you see, every image that you see, and train yourself on it. Fine-tune yourself on it. And so it ran multiple epochs and tweaked hyperparameters. Well, I can't show you guys this because, first of all, the data is huge, and I'm only making a decision here, high contrast, low contrast. If I would start fine-tuning now, we're still here tonight, late at night, okay, maybe tomorrow morning. So I'm not going to do that. but you can check out the code yourself and you can try that out. And of course, you tested it. You tested, okay? So here, let's see where this is. Can you guys see this? All right. How many of you are learning something? Okay? Awesome. So, how many of you are working with Next.js, by the way? Oh, not that many people, okay. But this should be okay. So, here you have to design assistance. So this is just the front end. Okay, this is just the front end where you see the AI Workshop app and where it uploads things. Now, when I click upon it, when I choose the image and I do handle analyze, I send it here. I send it to the backend through the API. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-process the image that was just given. Here in the pre-process, what happens is actually, so this is the workflow, okay, from the app. This is not the training, but I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain the workflow. So here, you first load the model from MobileNet. And then you say to MobileNet, hey, all of those models that you have, by the way, and all the images that you know, let's freeze those. Why? Because Pikachu, for example, it knows how to fight with the electric zapping, but when you teach it jujitsu, you don't want it to forget its original skills, right? That's why. That's why you have to freeze the layers. That's how they call that. You have to pre-process now. So with every AI model, like MobileNet and other AI models, they all have different requirements. So those, they call that tensor. So you have to that image, you have to prepare it like a cook. You have to cook the meal so the AI eats it. If the AI is vegan, you have to make it vegan. Otherwise, the AI is not able to process the image. That's how you have to think about it. Okay? And then here, indeed, you see it predicting, making the predictions. And what I have done is like, hey, listen, you need to predict it yourself. You need to fine-tune. You need to now apply what you've learned in your fine-tune training. You need to apply that now again. Okay? And so there is where I gave it when it's a high contrast or low contrast. Now, you guys, who wants to know about the master data set? Yes. So I was thinking, I want to have this app, and I want it to be high contrast, low contrast, and maybe if it can do other things like, if the letters are big enough, if it's small enough, and then I thought, wait, how much data do I need for that? Wait, how do I teach AI the correlations between an app design? Shit, I need the mobile design, I need all the small components, and hell no, I was not going to screenshot every component or every app design on Dribbble that I saw that I liked. And that said, by the way, Dribbble has really nice designs. Nobody would put their design on Dribbble and, be super bad for people to see. Like, don't put bad designs, right? You only put your nice designs on Dribbble. So actually the qualification was, what is my good data and what is my bad data? Well, then you have ChatGPT, of course, and a lot of minimalistic UI UX design is not visible for people that are visually impaired. So what did I do? I went to Figma, and how many of you work with Figma? Most of you, right? So you can actually, with the API, you can call up the UI kit, and you can pull out all of the images from the UI kit. And then you just have to organize it and with the name and the PNG that they have. So that's what I did. So in order to prepare this master data set, so here you have the master, but here is raw. So I pulled from Figma components, and I pulled also frames, so I could show the relationship between those. Also from Material UI, and then here in the app itself here, before I can even fine-tune the AI, I have to prepare. You have to cook like a month. That's how it feels. Okay? So here I have the cleaners, I have the fetchers, I have the readers, and of course I have the contrast checker that says, hey, check this to see if it's high contrast or low contrast. Here, so this is all raw, but here in the master data set, this is where you want it to be because this is what you're teaching your AI. So I had to divide this up because I needed to show the relationships, but also, this is the thing, with every button, this, for example, it had a label. Okay, so I had to like make all of those labels so I could give it certain properties. Okay? Here, oh, you can't see it, but here's the contrast ratio. Okay, because I wanted to show the contrast. So that is where it took that, it checks it in, puts it in the contrast checker, and that's where it comes out for a high or low contrast calculation. So, am I forgetting anything? Here is where the model gets trained. Yeah, so you load it up from MobileNet, and then you freeze the layers here, so it doesn't, it doesn't forget what to do when it starts learning Jujutsu, and then you train it. And then again, you have to pre-process. You have to pre-process the whole data set as well, because there's two flows, right? One from the user and one from when you're training the AI. It always needs to be pre-processed, okay? So that's it, guys. Any questions about this so far? Freezing. So freezing means that so MobileNet already knows how to analyze images. So it already has a data set of its own. So Pikachu already knows how to fight with electricity. If you fine-tune it, if you give it an extra data set, if you don't freeze these layers, then Pikachu is only going to be able to do Jujutsu. It forgets about the electric zapping. MobileNet, if you don't do it, you have to train it again to analyze all of the images. Does that answer? Okay, awesome. So, let's continue here. Oh, turn to your neighbor, promise, last time, okay? And oh, by the way, you can pull out your phone if you want to have a roadmap on how to build an AI app with a pre-trained model to go really technical, deeper into it. It's an article I wrote for Frontmania. And also, yeah, you're subscribed to my newsletter if you do that, okay? So how many of you would pick a pre-trained AI model over a custom AI model? Pre-trained AI model. Yeah, right? And how many of you think, damn, actually I want to make a custom AI model because I'm working with personalized data, I'm having a very specific idea, an AI like that doesn't exist, but then you think, ChatGPT is already becoming so big, why wouldn't I have that in my app? Users already know how ChatGPT talks, or how, ChatGPT already has a huge skill of understanding human language. How are you going to top that, right? So those are questions you have to think about. So discuss with your neighbor, what do you think, now that you heard everything, what are the most common mistakes when building an AI, or when building with AI? What are the most common mistakes? Okay, so I'm going to give you some time. Just going to walk around. Because if you're talking about the good stuff, you also have to talk about the bad stuff, There's some spots left here to sit, so if you want to come to the front, you're more than welcome to sit here. All right. So guys, tell me, what do you think are the most common mistakes when building with an AI? Sir?
Using the wrong data set, choosing the wrong AI.
Choosing the wrong data set and choosing the wrong AI. That's correct. That's correct. And also, like, for example, in my UI UX assistant, I'm thinking now Figma is a huge source, right, of components. Where the hell am I going to find other sources, right? Dribble, yeah. So I have to like really dig in deep in order to make right data, right? And choosing the wrong AI model. Anybody else? What do you think is a common mistake when building with an AI? Do you have an idea, sir?
I think AI models sometimes are like outdated with the data that
Yes,
learned.
exactly. AI models are outdated, or AI models don't seem to do what you think it should be doing, okay? Oh. For example, how many of you know Hugging Face or heard of it? Yeah, so Hugging Face has a lot of AI models that are pre-trained, that are trained by somebody, they fine-tuned it, or they made their custom AI, and then they put it on Hugging Face so you can use that in your app. Obviously, they want you to use their AI model. But is the AI model really as good as they say it is? Well, it's only one way to find out, right? That's why we're developers. The exciting part, but also sometimes, well, we all know. So, let me share with you the 5 mistakes that I made when building an AI app. And actually, today I was almost thinking, because I actually was working on an AI app, and I'm going to explain the idea to you guys in a minute. And in the end, it didn't give me the result that I wanted. Big surprise. But, you know, at these workshops, at these conferences, we're always talking about, this went great, and I did this, and I achieved that. But actually, when you talk to your colleague and they made a fuck up and they share about it, how much do you learn, right? How much faster would you learn? So, this is why here I'm sharing the 5 mistakes I made. The first time with the UI UX design assistant, my goal was too vague, right? I wanted to build the ultimate web accessibility assistant. That'd be great, but I think also, if I came up with that idea, then Figma would have already built that, right? Not balancing the good data and the bad data. Some of my bad data wasn't, you know, was still very high contrasty, was still very visible. So how would I know that? And also, I don't have any visual impairment. So it's also hard for me to test it myself and be my own avatar. Skipping systematic organization. Well, here, also for the workshop, but also I had the story right, you know, like data set, cleaner, fetcher, because it told the story, loading the data the model, fine-tuning it. But if you don't have that, you put everything in one code. Disastrous, I can tell you. Not defining the training labels the right way. How many of you saw which data structure the label was? Did anybody see it? Jason? Yeah, Jason, exactly, sir. So the label is very important. The label makes 2 + 2 is 10, correct? Wrong, right? So the labeling is very important on how you architect your data. And underestimating the data prep time. You know, I thought, oh, yeah, AI can handle that. We have AI now. But the prep, you know. So when you are building an AI app, you know, you are not his master, okay? You are its slave. But that's okay. That's what we're here for. Oh, okay, do I still have time to share this? Oh, I have. So I was working on this yesterday. And one of my goals is with a workshop to make it interactive, right? To do something physical or something else. And what I wanted to do actually is, this is an AI app. And I would give all of you a paper with a grid on it, and you would write your handwriting on it, or in Canva or something. And then, so it would be small letters, big letters, upload and generate the font. So the AI would look at this, it would recognize it as small letters from A to Z, and then capital A to Z, and then it would turn it into a font, and then it would give it back to you. Well, as you can see, The app works. It successfully generates a font. I just don't think, my mom could understand me if I would use this. But it's a nice idea. So we still have time, so I'm going to dive into the code and show you guys, because this was very hard, and this was really cool to do actually. So let me show you what this is about. All right. By the way, how many of you work with Python? Yeah, Python's pretty cool. This is actually one of my first times to work with Python. So we have the app here, all good. It uploads the image and all that. And then we send it to upload, right? So here we send it to the backend. We got the main pie here, the routes. So let me just explain the routes, because this is like is it big enough like this? I don't think people in the back can see. But upload the image, and again, so you first upload the image, and again, you process the image before you work with it, the handwriting. And then I had to extract the letters. So here, actually, I'm using a TROCR, which is a model from Microsoft that I could get from Hugging Face, and that I put in there, but apparently it doesn't work as well as I thought it would. Or it wasn't able to distinguish the letters because, it has certain spacing, and so that's harder than actually I anticipated. So after you extracted the letters, that's when you have to start recognizing it. Okay, so what does it do? It extracts the letters, and then it knows it has to compare that to a normal alphabet. So it says, hey, I think this letter looks like B, yes, no. And the funny thing is, you can see it here, right? You can see it here. Oh, you can see it here. That it wants to categorize it. So this one is correct, but this one not so much, right? This one not so much. It will look like C, D, G, but it's actually only letters A, E, F, G. And why it has so many characters in general, I don't know either. But that's what we will learn. So then, since TROCR already knew how to recognize handwriting, I wanted to fine-tune the AI model with your own handwriting. That was my goal. I thought it was nice for the workshop. It was not going to be a big data set. It would be fine-tuned. So that's what happens here when it's being fine-tuned on the user's handwriting. Okay? And then when you have done that, when you have fine-tuned that, you have to put it back to SVG or PNG before you generate it into a font, which is not AI, by the way, but it's a framework called FontForge. And that's it, actually, how this app worked and how this came about. Any questions? Yeah. Oh, now we get the mic. Yeah. That's awesome. Hey.
Couldn't you do this without AI? I mean, you said your input is a grid. So you know A is on 1. So basically, you already know the alphabet. So
yeah.
So like, why do you need AI for this? For ask Microsoft to ask, hey, this is my handwriting. This is an A, but you already know that.
That's a good question.
Because if you just have a grid on paper, you scan it, you know the grid, so it's fixed positions. So this is a lowercase a, this is a capital A. So now you can say, okay, but then basically now you already know what your alphabet is.
Well, my original idea was actually, that's a great question, by the way. My original idea was that to turn it into a font, which you also don't need AI for, but actually to generate your font. You know, so bold, italic, change that up a little bit. So it was just the diversity that came with it, and to make AI art of it with your handwriting, that was actually my goal. So yeah, see, the goal went too vague, small, that's what happens, yeah. That's a great question. Yeah. Awesome, guys. So, yeah, this is it. This was the workshop. Thank you guys all for coming. And if you have any questions, let me know.